Do you ever find yourself sitting in church and getting sleepy during the pastor's sermon? I've done that many times. I get sleepy. And I heard about this young pastor who was going to a seminar, and he was listening to a more older, seasoned pastor talk about that very topic. You know, how do you keep people awake during church? Because sometimes people come and they're sleepy to begin with, and they get the sermon drones on, they get more sleepy. So he said, what I do, I see people getting sleepy, I try to tell something funny, and then people kind of wake up. So he gave an example. He said, one Sunday I was giving my sermon, people were getting sleepy. I could tell it, they were getting sleepy. And so I stopped and I said, I have a confession to make. And everybody looked up. He said, some of the best years of my life were spent in the arms of a woman other than my wife. Everybody really woke up. And that woman was my mother. Well, it was kind of a letdown, but everybody was awake. So the young pastor got back home, and next Sunday he was giving a sermon. People were getting sleepy, and he stopped and said, I have a confession to make. Everybody looked up, told the same thing. I spent the best years of my life in the arms of a woman other than my wife. Everybody really sat up straight. And his mind went blank. He said, now I can't remember who it was. Well, I know what it's like to get sleepy in church, but today I want to talk to you about our calling in life. And as I was looking over and meditating on that passage this morning from the book of Colossians, I thought, this says something to me about my calling in life. Have you ever thought seriously about your own life and a calling that you may have for your life? I did some research and I found in the Bible 40 times the word calling is used. And well over 100 times the word call and called with a variety of meanings. So I want to talk with you today about consider your calling, the calling we have in life. I think there are a lot of people, even dedicated Christian people, who are surprised to think they may have a calling. I've heard different people tell me over the course of years, I thought all I had to do was to believe. Well, in a sense that's true, but believing, as we find it in the Bible, is not just believing certain things to be true. It's not just believing, say, the words of a creed. That may be part of it, but believing has to do with trust. Our calling is to follow Jesus. That was the calling Jesus gave to people. Come and follow me. That's our calling too, to follow Jesus, to trust Him in a way that our lifestyle is expressed in deeds, in actions. That's our calling in life. It's a basic calling to follow Jesus. Now, in a passage today from the book of Colossians, I think we have some specific ways that we can live out that calling. And Ann, would you put it up on the screen for us? Let's take a look at it a little bit together. Consider your calling. And what did Paul write here in Colossians? Can you come up with it?
No, sir. Maybe I needed to call him.
It's not there.
No, sir.
Okay.
I apologize.
How about opening your bulletin? The bottom of page 2 is all there. And let's look at it. First one is, clothe yourselves with compassion, kindness, humility, meekness, and patience. Wow. That's a mouthful, isn't it? That's a lot. Oh, there it's up here now. Okay. Clothe yourselves with compassion, kindness, humility, meekness, and patient. Think with me just for a moment about some of those words. Just for a classroom, I'd like to take time and kind of, look at each of those terms, but just look at them in a general way. That's part of our calling. Clothe yourselves. Compassion, kindness, humility, meekness, and patience. Okay, what's the next one? Bear with one another. Not always easy, is it? Put up with one another and forgive one another. If anyone has a complaint against someone else, you must forgive. That's part of our calling. It should be forgiving of one another. Okay, what's next? Let's skip that one. Go to the next one. There. Let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts. Wow. That's part of our calling. Let the peace of Christ rule in our hearts. And last on our, and be thankful. That's part of our calling in life. To be followers of Jesus is to be thankful. Next one. Let the word of Christ dwell in you richly. And then it said, teach and admonish one another in all wisdom. With gratitude in your heart, sing praises, psalms, hymns, spiritual songs. Now, Ann, can you back up to the one about love? Above all, there. Above all. Above all. Think of him Paul writing this, and he says, now, above all, above everything else. If you don't get anything else, get this. Above all, above everything else, clothe yourselves with what? With love. That's above all. In our calling in life, it's to clothe yourselves with love. I got a book not long ago. It's called Love as a Way of Life. I like that title, by Gary Chapman. And he makes it very clear, which I think is clear to all of us. Love is not just a feeling. Love has to do with actions, with what we do, not just how we feel. And in this book by Chapman, he has written about the expressions of love. How do we express love? And he has 8 of them. He says love is expressed with kindness, patience, forgiveness, courtesy, humility, generosity, and honesty. Something like that passage from Colossians. And then at the end he says, we express our love as a way of life in marriage, in parenting, and in the workplace. And then he comes to the end of his book, and he has an epilogue. He says he was walking across the campus of the University of Virginia, where he was going to speak. And he passed by an auditorium, and he saw these words engraved at the top of the door. You are here to enrich the world. I like that. You are here to enrich the world. Think of that as our calling in life. Each one of us, we're here to enrich the lives of other people. And there's so many ways we can do that. By offering people encouraging words, offering people a listening ear, offering people a helping hand. When I think about that, I sometimes think, well, there's so many problems and there are so many difficulties in life. Can I really make a difference? I heard a story about a young man was walking along the shore of the ocean, and the tide had washed up thousands of starfish who were stranded out there on the sand. And this young man was walking along and picking up starfish and throwing back in the water, and throwing another one back in the water. And a stranger came along and was looking at that, and he called out to them, "Young man, there's no way you can make a difference. There are thousands of starfish here." The young man picked up one, he tossed it out in the water and said, "That one makes a difference." Only one, maybe. Only one. That one makes a difference. A helping hand, a word of encouragement. You never know the impact that can make a difference. We're called to enrich the lives of people. Oftentimes it's not so much what we say, maybe it's just a listening ear. A woman tells how she was in a toy store and she was observing this mother with her little girl walking around looking at dolls. And the girl said to her mom, "What does this doll do?" And she said, "Well, that doll talks." Another doll, "What does this doll do?" "Well, that doll cries." Another doll, "What does this doll do?" "That doll wets." The mother thought all these dolls were kind of pricey. So we're going to steer around to ones that weren't quite as expensive. Came over there and the girl said, "What does this doll do?" The mother didn't quite know what to say, and she said, "That doll listens." The girl said, "That's the one I want." In a sense, aren't there not times in all our lives that's what we all want? Someone who will listen to us. You and I have the capacity to enrich the lives of other people in so many different ways. At home, on the job, at school, in the marketplace, wherever we might be. An encouraging word, a helping hand, a listening ear can make a huge difference. Consider your calling. Are you married? Your calling is to be the best possible husband or wife you can be. If you're a parent, your calling is to be the best possible parent you can be. Do you have a friend? Your calling to be the best friend you can possibly be. Our calling, enrich the lives of other people. That's a part of our calling in life. Are you a part of this church? This church, Community of Joy, is to be a beacon of light in this city. That's our calling. You drive up and down the street out here in Northern Boulevard, you see that sign. That sign is a welcome sign for all people. Our calling to be a beacon of life. Beacon of light and life to all people. I've lived in Albuquerque a long time, and I've been invited to speak at many different Lutheran churches here in Albuquerque area. And I have visited many of the other Lutheran churches. And I think Community of Joy has the best pastor of all the churches. I believe Pastor Michael gives the best sermons of any other church in town. He has a heart for people. He cares about people. He has a pastoral care gift that he provides for people better than any other pastor I know of in this town. I've been invited to speak at other churches too, Episcopalian, Presbyterian, Methodist, Disciples of Christ, Independent. Helen and I have visited many, many different churches in the area. I don't know of any church that has a better music program than Community of Joy. Really. This church has so much to offer. Last Sunday, we made available this little card. If you didn't get one, there are many more cards out there on that table. Pick one up. Use it as an invitation piece to invite people to be a part of this church. Come and worship here. Come to be a part of all that we do. Why do we come together on Sunday morning to worship? Why do we gather in a great program that's coming up now soon, starting on Wednesday nights? I think we do it for two reasons, primarily. We come together to be restored, to be renewed in our lives, to be reassured of the love and grace of God for our lives. That's a part of what we do. To have our faith and our hope restored and renewed. We'll also come together to be equipped with our minds and our hearts, to be equipped to respond to God's calling to be faithful followers of Jesus. That's why we're here. And so we need to reach out and invite others to be a part, to enrich their lives as well. That's our calling. A couple named Mike and Joan had not gone to church for many, many years. Many, many years. They were turned off by church. Their impression of church was it focused all on rituals and creeds, or like one man told me, why should I go to church and listen to some person stand up front and tell me how bad I am? A lot of churches are good at helping people feel guilty. So Mike and Joan said, why should I go to church? They gave up on it. Mike and Joan had friends, another couple, who invited them one day to come to church with them. Well, they were reluctant to go, but they thought, just out of a favor to their friends, they would try it. They came to church on Sunday morning with their friends. And they told the story later, how they were impressed. They said the sights and the sounds and the message they heard began to make a deep impression on them. So this is different. Maybe it's something that could enrich our lives. So they came back the next Sunday. And that Sunday they were given some literature on prayer and the power of faith. And they read that literature and they talked it over with each other, and they decided this is something we need for our lives. So they came back some more and came back some more. And they heard a message how they could be followers of Jesus. They could experience forgiveness. They could experience new power for their lives. They could experience new hope for their future. And they decided, hey, this is for us. And in their heart, they responded and became followers of Jesus and became participants in sharing in the life of that church. Consider your calling. The calling of Jesus to follow him. The calling of Jesus to be a person who is dedicated to enrich the lives of other people in a variety of ways. And above all, clothe yourselves with love. Won't you bow your head and pray with me? I invite everyone right now, consider your calling. The calling of Jesus for your life. To follow him. And the calling he has for you to enrich the lives of other people. And his calling to you, above all, clothe yourselves with love. Gracious God, hear our prayers in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.